Hello.
Hello, Amy. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. How are you guys?
All right.
Hi there.
This is a stupid question, but exactly what are you hoping to get out of this?
It's so this is kind of an extension of our media engagement working group, and our main focus there is connecting community members to media organizations. So for us, our hope in showing this and connecting people is connecting people within the building. And letting them know this is where we're at, this is who else is here, and this is ways that you can engage with these organizations.
Amy, I hate to break it to you, but nobody's there.
Yeah.
Trust me, I go in once a week to check the mail.
Oh yeah, I know. I was there. Oh, me and Aaron were like what felt like the only people on the third floor for months because we were going in around October. So yeah.
I was there for election night. I slept in one of the offices for about 3 hours.
Oh wow. Ooh,
At like from 3 a.m. to 6 a.m.
Yeah.
Because I had to, I'm the race caller for 3 states for the AP. So
Yeah.
I don't recommend sleeping on the floor in those offices.
Yeah, I think the conference room on the third floor is probably my favorite. It's got the best lighting. You can see everything. Nice.
Yeah. I got all the pictures hung up the last time I was in our office, so that was good.
I don't have my set up.
I'm supposed to be getting some signage from headquarters in New York so that we can put the AP emblem on our door.
Yeah.
So people will know where we are.
People arriving.
How many folks have RSVP'd for this?
So far, roughly 30. We had hoped for a lot more, but I'm still pretty content with what we've got.
And how many are non-journalists? How many are actual civilians?
I do not have that, but a good bit of them are journalists.
Yeah, see, we're just talking to each other. I mean, come on. They all know what the AP is.
And the great thing about this is also live streaming on our YouTube, and it'll also have a home on our website after. So all of these resources and opportunities that you guys will speak of today will be available for anybody to view and see. That's awesome. Hey, Phillip. Hey, Matthew, welcome.
I like this question. What unsung hero has gotten you through COVID? More than once I've remarked, the dishwasher in my house is the unsung hero. That thing has yet to die, and it gets run every day.
I love that.
I'm gonna give that thing a Viking funeral when it finally dies. I'm gonna set it on fire and push it out into Stanley Lake.
What were
Amy,
you gonna say?
my undergrad apartment, despite how much we were paying to stay on campus, didn't have a dishwasher in it. So I too am very thankful for my dishwasher now.
It's the simple things, man.
Hi, Dave. Welcome.
Good afternoon. Hi there. We have another Dave.
Yes.
Dave and David.
Well, my mom didn't name me Dave. That would have been insightful on her part, but I am a David.
Hey, Laura. Welcome.
Hey, how are you?
Good.
Good to see you, Amy, and everybody else. Half of whom I've seen in the last 12 hours on calls. Diamond, Phillip, Jim.
Laura, I was
Who
so
I just
tired. I was so tired last night after that budget call.
Me
It was
too.
all I could do to brush my teeth and fall to bed.
I know. Diamond and Phillip, I was on a call with you guys until 6:30, right? Then I got on a Denver Press Club call until 9 o'clock doing budget. It was brutal. It was brutal.
Yikes.
But we survived.
Welcome, Tim. Alfonso, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Gonna give it a couple more minutes. Keep it in. Keep switching screen. gosh. Really gotta get. All right, we're just gonna wait a couple more minutes. I'm gonna give it 5.
Hey, Amy, I just sent you a direct message, but I can see that you're doing other things, so I'll just mention it. I think your slide says the agenda's in the Zoom chat. You might want to drop it in there again because once everybody's on, because those of us who logged on after you dropped it can't see it.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. David, are you there in the center?
I am. I'm ready for everyone to come down and
You look
put
like
some
it.
life in this place.
Yes. Tim and I were just on a call and we said, hey, do you think we could meet at the center? And I said, yeah, there's nobody there. I think it would be perfectly safe.
Curious, but not a problem to social distance.
Yeah, we can social distance safely.
Yeah.
I left a couple of Diet Pepsis in the fridge. Feel
Oh,
free.
good. That'll help us. We'll pay you back.
Somebody put beer in there too. I was tempted a couple of times. Which one of you reprobates put beer in there?
Well, if it's not marked,
And that's right.
If there seems to be less beer in there from time to time, it might have something to do with the fact that KGNU's studio is in active use.
Mm.
Because there was a lot of beer in there at first.
Oh. That's what gets you through the long nights, huh?
Yeah. Well, it was an Open Media Foundation gift to the whole group when the ceremonial parade / pub crawl.
Okay, that just left with that. Okay, that's been a while.
Yes,
So
we
the
got a-
AP frowns on us drinking on the job. That's a real shame.
The AP doesn't like that?
No.
Can't imagine why.
Well, alrighty. I think I'm gonna go ahead and start. We'll just admit people as they come through. Going to- Okay. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and kick us off. Thank you guys for waiting. Sorry, letting in a couple more people. Welcome, welcome. All right, I'll go ahead and start. Good afternoon. Thank you, everyone that is able to join us today. We at Open Media want to give a hearty welcome. COVID has prevented many of us from hosting the kinds of open houses or networking events that we had visioned, though it has been a crazy, wild year. A lot of good things have come out of it, and that is the opening of the new Buell Public Media Center this past October. And though a lot of us haven't completely settled within the building, we are super excited to call the tenants that reside there a neighbor. So as some of you may know, Open Media hosts monthly media engagement meetings, and the focus being to increase community engagement within journalism and media in Colorado. So this event is an extension of that effort, and presentations today will focus mainly on concrete ways that you as community members can engage with these organizations, whether that be through volunteerism, internships, board and committee opportunities, as well as ongoing programs and initiatives. Lastly, I'd like to give a big thanks to PEN America, as this event is presented in partnership with them. PEN America is an organization that stands at the intersection of literature and human rights to protect free expression in the United States and worldwide. Within the larger organization, the PEN Across America initiative provides resources to mobilize PEN America communities around the country, and they're doing fantastic work, including organizing public forums, highlighting the work of local journalists in the time of COVID, hosting literary conversations, and events like this one. So we hope this event will expand the network of supporters and help organizations like the ones presenting today expand their community of citizens who understand the work that they are doing, the importance of the work that they do. So before we kick off, I'd like to go over a few housekeeping things that were in that initial screen share before the meeting started. I'll go ahead and pull that up. Excuse me for the delay. I am multitasking right now. All righty. So a few housekeeping things. The meeting agenda can be found in the Zoom link. We'll try our best to kind of recirculate that as people join. So as soon as we get through the virtual tour, I'll submit that link in there. And for those that have burning questions, I ask that you fill in the Google form. That's also gonna be in the Zoom chat. I know a few of you guys have reached out and you've had some issues with accessing it because you don't have a Gmail. If you just send me a direct message via the chat, the same way, we'll get back to you after the meeting. We just want to make sure that we kind of stay within this hour and a half time slot. All righty. Our next item, we'll go ahead. We also want to thank Rocky Mountain PBS for sharing this asset. This is just a clip of the building overall. They unfortunately could not present today due to last minute concerns, but again, thank you. And I'll just go ahead and start this. All right. All righty. So before we kick off presentations, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing. Okay. All righty. Phillip, would you like to go ahead and kick us off? Phillip Clapham is the project manager at Colorado Media Project.
Thank you, Amy. Can everyone hear me okay? Yeah, okay, good. Hello, I'm Phillip Clapham, and I'm the project manager for Colorado Media Project. So I wanted to just sort of start off a little bit about our organization and what we do. We're not a newsroom like some of the folks here in our meeting today, but we consider ourselves a connector organization that really fuels that work. So CMP is the mission of CMP is to meet the information needs of Coloradans by working to strengthen the ecosystem, the local news ecosystem across the state. We are a grant-funded organization that operates under fiscal sponsorship with Rose Community Foundation. And the impetus of CMP was really to bring together a broad coalition of Colorado citizens who are all concerned about the future of local news and information in the state. And so we are sort of a conglomerate of journalists, students, entrepreneurs, civic leaders, community members of varied backgrounds, interests in geography, all sort of putting together a brain trust to continue to further work to save local journalism. As we all know, local journalism has been really in the fight for its survival for a few decades now, and that really puts our democracy at risk. And so our mission is twofold. It's threefold. It's to build capacity, and that means that we're working with newsrooms to help find new business models for local news. We want to build collaboration. That means helping local news organizations put aside competition and really pool together to strengthen what they do by sharing resources. And also community. So through events and pre-COVID and hopefully post-COVID, communication and other means, we seek to broaden and deepen community support for local journalism, from philanthropy to individual donors, and to eager readers and consumers of news. So we're sort of a connector organization. A little bit of, so some of the first work that we really embarked upon as an organization was back in October of 2019, when the Colorado Media Project published a report called Local News as a Public Good, Public Pathways for Supporting Coloradan Civic News and Information Needs in the 21st Century. And really that was putting a lot of brain power behind finding new approaches, ideas, and new products and services that can ensure a reimagining of journalism in Colorado, especially in underserved communities. And so some of the heavy hitters within our state, like Gregory Moore and John Temple, were both former editors of the Denver Post and Rocky Mountain News, respectively. Jeff Roberts, Executive Director of Colorado Freedom of Information Coalition, Nancy Wattsman, our former Director of Colorado Media Project, and Aaron Craig, who is President and CEO of Free Press. And I encourage everyone to sort of take a look at that full report, which is in the agenda. But it really sort of lays out how we see our role in helping to bring people together in order to find new and innovative ways to strengthen and fund, as Laura likes to call, damn good journalism. Some of the examples of the work that we do as a connecting organization you could find also in the agenda, which in that example is our Informed Communities grant. So back in April, when COVID-19 sort of in its first throes in Colorado, what we learned, what the nation learned, was that people of color were often or disproportionately impacted by the virus for various reasons, and not only in a public health perspective, but also from an economic perspective. And so what we wanted to do was find ways that we could build trust within those communities in Colorado and getting them the information that they would need that would be potentially life-saving and detrimental to their economic circumstances. One thing I think that we were willing to admit is that oftentimes traditional and legacy media has a tenuous relationship with Black and Indigenous people of color communities and rural communities who often suffer from a lack of trusted news in their community, which all of us here call news deserts. So our Informed Communities grant was a creative way to build on the trust that already exists within these communities by engaging with their local news, which was often a reflection of their communities. So it's Spanish-speaking radio, African-American news publications here in Denver, Asian-American publications here in the metro area, as well as folks serving Indigenous folks in the Four Corners and across the state. And so we do that work through grants. And we're happy to have given out $50,000 to 8 local media outlets and 2 nonprofit community organizations that were on the front lines to providing that information to these communities. And as the way we saw it was that it didn't have to necessarily be a newsroom providing that information, especially as it pertained to health and public health. And so we allowed these 2 nonprofit organizations to actually be part of that process because they had already built trust with these communities that we were trying to reach, creating a pipeline of information that came from came from Colorado media, notably the collab, which Laura will talk a lot about once she gets the chance to speak, and funneling that information and building those connections and really working not only to build to provide information in those communities, but to build relationships between community ethnic media and the collab at large. And so we're wrapping up that work this week, as a matter of fact, and hoping to have some more reporting for you guys in the coming year to find out sort of how that work was able to sustain those community ethnic media organizations and how we can measure the way it impacted in community in regards to COVID-19. And some of the more recent things that we're trying to focus on now is discussing the future of local news bill that Senator Michael Bennet of Colorado is currently sort of going to be presenting in Congress next year. So a number of Colorado journalists sat down with Senator Bennet along with CMP to really, for him to have an opportunity to hash out and hear where the disconnects are and where we could go forward. So we're really excited about that work, more to come. And you can also find a little bit more information about the bill on our blog page, and I can share that link with Amy later. So as far as I know, if folks might be here listening out for opportunities, I cannot say that there are many right now as far as engagement goes, but what you can also do is join our newsletter list. We send out a monthly newsletter, and it's not just for journalists, it is open to journalists, but journalists and folks who read news and care about the future of local media, people with philanthropic ties, so on and so forth. So really any sort of part of that large swath of Colorado resident that you encompass, we want to hear from you, and we want to keep you informed about how these things are going. So please feel free to go to our website and sign up for our newsletter. And I'm going to hand it back off to Amy. You're on mute, Amy.
You're muted.
Thank you. Our next presenter is Tony Shawcross. He is the Executive Director of Open Media and Denver Open Media. All right.
Thanks, Amy. And I want to remind everyone, this is part of, thank you everyone for joining us and those that are watching on YouTube. This is part of our ongoing media engagement working group. So most of us will be focused on ways that you can engage with these media organizations. If it weren't for COVID, we'd be having a tour and an open house of the great new facility. Most of the people in this chat are on the third floor. Last, you guys will be hearing from David, who's on the first floor, and we'll have great opportunities for people to engage in concrete ways for you guys to get involved with some of the work being done at this new Buell Public Media Center. But I'll start by talking a little bit about some of the opportunities we have at Open Media. First, as a just general overview, the majority of the work Open Media Foundation is we act almost like an ad agency or a PR firm for nonprofits, governments, and media organizations, producing video, developing websites, design, branding, social media, and then we also run Denver Open Media, which is a new radio station in Denver, 92.9 FM, 89.3 HD3, featuring exclusively local content from the city of Denver. And so we've got really three main ways that people can get involved with the organization. I'll do a screen share really quick. The first of those is through membership at Denver Open Media. So you can, for $20 a month, get free access to our learning labs and support from our community to help make your content, mainly for our radio station. Allows you to submit radio content, have a discount on classes, and access our computer lab with the full Adobe suite from noon to 7, Tuesday through Saturday. For present, we also have a studio access level. When we move into the new building, we won't have our own dedicated studios, but we'll still have the $20 a month membership. So that's the first way to get involved if you want to create content for the radio station. If you aren't looking to do that, you're just wanting some more experience, I've got two other opportunities. The first is our internship position. So we do have interns for the radio station, but we also have interns who work on our state legislative work. We have staff every day inside the Capitol, an office there where we stream and archive meetings of the House and Senate, the State House and Senate every day. We have an executive assistant internship. We have web development internship. So there's kind of a broad range of internship opportunities with the organization. You can find out about those at openmediafoundation.org/internships. This is a more complex URL, but that URL also goes to it. And the link is also in the agenda for the meeting. And then third, we have 4 board committees that are looking for community members. Unlike serving on our board, where you commit to a financial gift, you commit to 2 years of service, and it's kind of a heavy lift in terms of volunteer opportunities. The board committees require no real commitment. You can come and go as you please. And we really welcome community members in those committees. It is also the pathway to getting on our board. If you participate for at least 3 months in the committee can then subsequently nominate you to join our actual board of directors. I'm going to go through our 4 committees. We have a marketing and business development committee. That group just met today, actually. They meet once a month, and they talk through work, including what we're doing right now with VaynerMedia and the Sasha Group to rebuild our new website in conjunction with opening our space in the new facility. We have a finance committee that is very boring unless you're into numbers, but we go through just our monthly financials. We have a fundraising committee that focuses on fundraising for mostly Denver Open Media, the radio station, also a little bit for Open Media Foundation. And then we have an inclusiveness and outreach committee that just focuses on outreach and making sure that we as an organization represent and reflect the diversity of the community that we're here to serve. So that's 3 great ways to get involved if you're interested. Radio membership, internship opportunities, those are a 200-hour commitment, usually about 12 hours a week. And then our board committees, which is usually about 2 to 3 hours a month commitment, just 1 meeting a month. So I think that's it, Amy. That's the main ways to get involved with open media.
Awesome. Thank you, Tony. All righty. Our next presenter is Dave Ashton, or DProc Dave Ashton. He's the program manager at KGNU Community Radio. Though not a Colorado native, he certainly is a local. He began his media effort at the age of 16 as a hype dancer on Denver Channel 7's Rock TV while attending East High School. Let's see, busting rap tape intros to the daily school announcements led him to 4 years of immersive hip-hop radio on his show, The Beatdown Hour, on 91.7 FM WMCN at Macalester College in St. Paul, where he attained his BA in Urban Studies. He started as a volunteer programmer at KGNU Community Radio in 2006 and joined KGNU staff in 2008 as the Denver program manager. He had 7,000 records in his basement. His sanity is primarily supported through the transgressive practice of street skateboarding. Dave, go ahead and take it away.
Oh, it's so fun to write your own story. Yeah, that stuff. There are also other things that are true, but those things are true. Thank you, Amy. Thanks for the opportunity. Denver Open Media Foundation for, everyone to get together here and kind of compare notes about where our organizations are at. KGNU Community Radio has been on the air since 1978. We are officially doing business as KGNU, but our name is the Boulder County Broadcast Association. The community of Boulder has given birth to this unique media outlet year in and year out. And that's the original 88.5 FM signal from 1978. During the March to War, when the mainstream media joined in lockstep with the Pentagon, essentially changed the name at the top of Pentagon press releases and pushed forward all of the faulty reasoning and misinformation that led our society to the permanent war that we have now. Mainstream media was totally complicit in this. The only national news program giving alternate information, AKA the actual facts that Saddam Hussein was not harboring all of these weapons of mass destruction, was Democracy Now! With Amy Goodman. At the time in 2003, Democracy Now! Was only available on KGNU. It is the flagship news show of the Pacifica Network, which we are members of. So this created a demand for KGNU in Denver that had never really existed in the same kind of significant way. KGNU purchased a second signal in 2004 and got on the air in Denver at 1390 AM. And of course, since then, Democracy Now! Has been much more widely available, become available on like public media more largely. But we were like one of the first 5 stations to be running it when Amy Goodman stepped away from NPR and the morning edition or whatever it was that she was a part of. Some things considered, I'm not sure. But in any case, since then, Denver has been an active and engaged piece of the KGNU puzzle, and I have been involved with helping people gain access and get their hands on the means of production since 2008. So that entire time was at the 700 Calumet Street. And that studio, you know, I have lived in that studio longer than any physical address that I've actually gone home to. So, you know, now we've made the incredible leap here to the Buell Media Center, to the 3rd floor, and really just wanting to continue the model of not only community access to media, but the mission-driven approach of representing the underrepresented, overlooked, or actively suppressed viewpoints and voices in the media. So what this looks like today is KGNU having the only LGBTQ plus weekly radio program on the Front Range, outsources on Monday nights. This looks like KGNU being home to the longest running hip hop program on planet Earth since 1978, Eclipse, The Shedding of a Blacker Light. Back before rap records, we had a hip hop show. Go figure, only in Boulder. And this continuity of 42 years of hip hop is because of the belief in it and the understanding and underpinning of it as a culture and not as a commercial concern. The opportunities that we have now at KGNU is something that we are really ironing out. You know, as an essential service, we are under very strict protocols at our facilities. Like, I'm rolling with Homeland Security papers in my glove box, which feels pretty gangster. The Homeland Security papers allow me to get gasoline if the gas shortage should strike as a result of the pandemic. And, you know, to be able to run through blockades and all of this amazing stuff. So, you know, our direct human beings live on air is something that's actually an anomaly across the radio spectrum. And we're able to do this with 300 plus volunteers who cling to our mission and our message, and bringing this live makes us like very much emergency prepared. So this is why we are in constant contact with our all of the security agencies of all the counties, and able to get information about wildfires, floods, different disasters. When 36 eroded, we're able to get that information directly out to people in emergency status. So any case, we're not able to really entertain more people than our essential volunteer staff in our studios. So our training program has gone online. The essential media literacy that we have done year in and year out has now switched to lots of Zoom stuff. And we are happy to say that our bi-monthly volunteer orientations have continued. We have not missed any of these information sessions. So folks wanting to find out what the current volunteer opportunities and engagements at KGNU are directed to and very much encouraged to attend our volunteer orientations. Those happen on odd numbered months. And so there's 6 a year. So we look at it as 6 cohorts of people coming together and going through our training process. It's the first Thursday of those odd numbered months, and it's at 7 p.m. So that means the next opportunity is Thursday, January 7th, excuse me. The 7th of January, 7 p.m. You will find the Zoom link on KGNU's. Well, actually, no, we will get you to sign up through a digital platform, I believe a jot form. And that is something you could do now. You could locate on kgnu.org the sign up. And then people who are signed up ahead of time will be issued the Zoom link. So essentially, we have two departments, music and news. We are unable to bring new people on behind the scenes, very much so. So looking to get people experience in creation of programs through music and news. The music stuff plays late at night, but we're also teaching people how to pre-record and assemble shows at home. So you don't actually have to be up at 3 a.m. to be that 3 a.m. voice. The starter position for news and public affairs is something called .orgs. I'm actually doing a .org training tomorrow. And the .orgs are volunteers interviewing and putting together, editing pieces that are highlighting local nonprofits. We run those several times a week. So those are the two main things to do. Now, as Tony mentioned, yes, you can become a member of KGNU. Membership at KGNU doesn't give you really like access to our studios. That is more of like the listener supported style of membership, where it's the financial contribution to keep the programming on the air. And that is the model that KGNU does. We have minimal support from the Corporation of Public Broadcasting. We have minimal underwriters supporting us. The vast majority of our funding comes from our listeners who want to flip the paradigm of what music is about, what radio is about. When you listen to radio and you listen to commercial stations, the product is the audience that is being paid for and delivered to the advertisers. It is not the quality of the programming that is the product, the audience itself, the bubble in which the people who will tolerate the repetitive nature and the uncritical voices are beaten into submission by the repetition of the program to be delivered willingly unto the advertisers. The listeners of KGNU are flipping that paradigm where the quality of the programming and the trustworthiness of the information is primary, and their money goes to make sure that this is not going to be unduly influenced by the bosses. So with that, hope to engage you at least listening. The first step with KGNU is to listen. And if it's not something that appeals to your ears, then it's probably not something you want to contribute to. So listen, learn about the schedule a little bit, and hopefully we can see you at a volunteer orientation, which I will be doing myself with my colleague Verity on the 7th of January. Thank you for your moment of time.
Awesome. Thank you, Dave. Alrighty, our next presenter is Jim Clark. Alrighty, Jim Clark is the Associated Press's director for the West. He has led a wandering life for the News Cooperative for the past 27 years. A Rhode Island native, his time with Associated Press has taken him from the farthest stretches of the Aleutian Islands to the Deep South and the Utah deserts. He has covered the Iditarod, coordinated with local Associated Press efforts for the 2002 Winter Olympics, and led the work on Elizabeth Smart's disappearance in Utah and the BTK serial killer case in Kansas. Very cool. Before joining Associated Press in 1993, he worked in Washington, D.C. for the Energy Daily, covering the nuclear power industry and the nuclear weapons complex. He's also worked at newspapers in Fairfax, Virginia, and Westerly, Rhode Island. He did his undergraduate work at George Washington University and has earned an MS in journalism from Columbia University in 1990. He lives in Arvada with his wife, Jennifer, daughters Hope and Grace, are students at the University of Colorado in Boulder. Thank you for joining us, Jim. I will let you go ahead.
Thanks for that, Amy. This is a great opportunity for me to do something that I find myself doing dozens of times a year, which is explaining what the Associated Press is. Everybody thinks they know what the Associated Press is because we are everywhere. But I find that folks, they think maybe we are for profit or we're owned by big corporations or this or that. So I'm here to give you the straight scoop. The Associated Press is one of the oldest news organizations on the planet. It might be the oldest news organization on the planet. It's also the largest in terms of reporters in the field. We are a not-for-profit news cooperative. We are headquartered in New York City. We were founded in 1846. And in a very fundamental way, we are the first news collaboration effort. That's why we exist, to share news among all of the members of the cooperative, which is why the collab idea resonates so deeply in my soul. It is exactly what we need to be doing in the United States in local journalism. So, and that's why I was an early and enthusiastic supporter of it. We are on the 3rd floor of the Buell Center. We've moved in, although we're not working out of there. I go in there once a week to get the mail and make sure the place hasn't burned down. We have, how many reporters? We have 5 reporters in Denver, 2 sports reporters, 5 news reporters, 2 sports reporters, a photographer, and that's our staffing in Colorado. We also obviously have staffing in every single state house in the country. We have staffing in every major country in the world. Chances are, when you're looking at news from almost anywhere in the United States on your mobile devices or online or anywhere in the world, it likely comes from the Associated Press. More than half the world's population sees our news every day. That's the scale that we're talking about for the AP. The other reason I really like the collab experiment is my job currently for the AP is to find money to run the cooperative. I'm in charge of business relationships for all of our members and customers west of the Mississippi, and a few of them even east of the Mississippi. Don't ask. We had to divide the country up some way. And in every state that I work in, I see versions of the same story, which is local journalism is dying. Local newspapers, their revenue is cratering. They can't afford to put reporters out in the field. Non-commercial local radio is doing okay, but commercial radio they just don't do news anymore. It doesn't happen, except in very big cities like Denver or St. Louis or New York, DC. So the collab idea, I think, is the most interesting thing in local journalism going on in the United States right now. And I tip my hat to Laura Frank, who you're going to hear from. She is excellent at coordinating disparate news organizations like the Denver Post or the AP, but also tiny little one-person shops, and getting them all together to pull in the same direction to produce journalism. It's very important. I don't have to tell this crowd that a robust free press is the cornerstone of democracy. It absolutely is. So yeah, I'm hopeful that we can replicate the collab experience elsewhere in the country. In fact, I was talking to Laura about that yesterday and this morning. Where else in the country would you do this if you could? I have some ideas, and we'll see what happens. But I think this is a great idea, and the AP is happy to be a part of it. And that's my spiel.
Yeah, can you share, are there any concrete ways, whether it be through membership, do you guys have a newsletter specifically in the Colorado region where people can sign up to keep updated and abreast on?
No, that's not our business model. I mean, we are a business to business organization, so you have to be a news organization to be a member of the AP. We do very little business to consumer stuff, and we have a mobile app that you can put on your phone. We do have a website, apnews.com, but that's a very thin selection of our news. We are owned by all of our members, right? The tiny little newspapers and little radio stations and big newspapers. They all own the AP. It's a cooperative structure. So we don't do it that way. Sorry.
No, that's okay.
We're very different. We're a very different thing. There's nothing else in the media space on the planet like the AP. Yeah. We're the only one of its kind. So that's why people don't get us.
Well, thank you for explaining, Jim. If anything, you're definitely still a resource within the building for other organizations that are there.
Yeah. Well, here's something that folks might be interested in. On election night, when you hear the AP has called this race or that race, I do that for Colorado, Utah, and Montana, or I did this cycle. So that's one of the things I do. And it's really hard and I hate it, but we have to do it.
It was a tough. All righty. We'll move on to our next presenter. Thank you again, Jim.
Mhm.
Our next presenter is Diamond Hardiman. Diamond works as a manager for News Voices Colorado project in collaboration with community members to envision a transformative local news. She aims to participate in the creation of a world where freedom is non-contingent, but rather inevitable necessity. In service of this vision, she has worked as a tenants' right advocate and bail abolitionist in St. Louis, and as an advocate for people sentenced to execution by the state in Jackson, Mississippi. She is wonderful to work with. She's worked with us on a few of our things and joined some of our diverse hiring and recruitment working groups, as well as our media engagement working groups. But enough said, Diamond, I will let you take it away.
Thank you, Amy. Thank you for putting this together and bringing us all together, even though we haven't been able to see each other in person. I think that this is a really important space. I'm gonna go ahead and try and share my screen. So bear with me as we see if it comes up. Okay. Okay. Give me 1 second. It's not loading. While I'm loading that up, you had a great question, Amy, in the beginning about what are the unsung heroes of quarantine. And I was thinking about music. I think a lot of new music has still come out, regardless or despite of folks not being able to be in the studio. And I think that that has been my unsung hero. So thank you for that question. And the PowerPoint should be working now. Can folks see my PowerPoint or are they looking at my email? Great. So News Voices Colorado, I'm the News Voices Colorado manager. That @ is my Twitter @. And we are a project of Free Press, which is a national organization, Colorado Media Project, which you heard from earlier, and Collab, and you'll hear from Laura later on today. And a little bit about Free Press. We're a national organization that does media advocacy. So they were created to really give the people a voice in the crucial decisions that shape our media. So we focus on things like net neutrality, surveillance, broadband connection issues. And we really do anything that has to do with people being able to connect with one another and share news and information. In 2015, we launched a specific project called News Voices. And it was about bringing this more locally and bringing this more place-based. So what we do with News Voices is we organize within communities with journalists and folks inside and outside of newsrooms so that they can also start shaping these media decisions and work together to collaborate to create the local news that they want based on their locality. And that also, of course, feeds into a lot of our national work as well. One of our biggest monikers that News Voices Colorado follows and News Voices as a whole is that people are not just news consumers. We really try to change this one-way directional relationship to one that is relational and reciprocal. And so we look at them as constituents, stakeholders, and community members. So instead of being a passive consumer, we really encourage people to come into the fold and invest and be invested in the news that is created, and for newsrooms to also be invested in the folks that are funding and paying attention to and are impacted by their journalism. And what we really think that does is help build capacity and help build relationships from community members inside and outside of newsrooms. And the way that we do that is to shift the relationships that impact journalism. So like I said, we take a community organizing approach. And for us, community organizing is really just building trusting, sustainable relationships and catalyzing them towards a shared vision of the future. So all of that is based in the relationships that we have with one another, with newsrooms, with folks in our community, so that we can all get access to the news and information we need. And like I said, community organizing is really at the center of that. So News Voices Colorado is one of the newest projects. We have projects in Philly, North Carolina, and New Jersey. And right now, News Voices Colorado launched in August. And we really follow a lot of the same tenets. And what we're looking to do here in Colorado is build on a lot of the work that's already going on in movement spaces and really see how we can be additive to the ways that folks are being collaborative, to the ways that folks are thinking about this local news crisis and how we can incorporate sustainability and equity as we're reshaping what local news looks like. We really look to center folks that have historically been marginalized or not been part of the fold when we're talking about historical news and media and access to information. So we host community conversations, we host newsroom trainings, we host forums, we share guides, and we share resources to really further our goal of helping newsrooms and journalism center the needs, the voices, and the hopes of communities that have been historically misrepresented and excluded. And we do that in partnership with all of the work that is going on here. And that's why we're so excited to be in Colorado, because there are so many places for us to tap in. And a lot of the places that we've been looking at recently, we've been talking with community members all across the state. And we've been talking to folks like in Roaring Fork Valley and Greeley about the gaps in Spanish language coverage, the gaps in the perception of places like the Roaring Fork Valley, where we have ski towns in comparison to the service workers that work there, and making sure that everyone has access to participate in the process of journalism, to participate in their narratives, and to be able to share the news and information that we've seen this year is very critical to everyone's daily lives. So I'm gonna go ahead and go to the next slide, which are some ways that you can get engaged with us both locally and nationally. So a lot of our local engagement opportunities, like I said, we're doing a lot of work talking to community members and community leaders. And so in 2021, we'll be rolling out state level working groups. And we're looking for folks that are trusted leaders, storytellers, and journalists to bring them all together to surface strategies, provide resources, and create infrastructures just for all of us, journalists, media makers, storytellers, and newsrooms to center Black and Latinx news, information needs, and narratives in local news and media. So if you know anyone that would like to be a part of that working group, or if you would like to be a part of that working group yourself, feel free to go ahead and shoot me an email, or you can shoot me a DM in the chat. And that's something that we're really excited to co-create with folks around. And then we'll also be hosting a lot of newsroom trainings in 2021. So just keep an eye out for when we roll those out, and feel free to join us. At those newsroom trainings, we talk about community mapping, asset mapping, how to build trusting relationships, and how to incorporate this idea of engagement into a process in our newsrooms. And then finally, you can join our list, which will give you updates on all the things that we're doing, News Voices Colorado, and I'll drop all those links in the chat after this presentation. And then we have some more national opportunities that loop into a lot of the work that we're doing. So one of the biggest ones is Media 2070. Media 2070 is a campaign and an invitation to dream up media reparations. So what it consists of is a 100-page research essay and a growing consortium. And what the research essay visibilizes is the ways that the US system has taken part in state violence and harm against Black communities. And our goal is to work collaboratively to develop a platform for media reparations. So although this is a national initiative, folks like me, I'm one of the co-conspirators on this project. We're looking for ways that we can implement the learnings and the lessons from these essays in all of our local communities. So one way to get involved in that, I'll drop in the sign up link for Media 2070. And what it'll do is give you updates on information. We have a newsletter that we're tinkering with and that we rolled out last week. And you can join in that, and we'll be hosting conversations and events in 2021. And what it really is not, it's not prescriptive. We're looking to the people, and we're looking to folks all across the country to incorporate what their visions of what that looks like, and also their visions and their histories of harm. So I'll drop that link as well. And then News Voices, the News Voices team, like the folks from Philly, New Jersey that I was talking about, we came together to create a database, a journalism database called Before and After the Vote, Journalism Resources for Keeping Communities Safe and Informed. And although we're a little ways out from the election, there's 100 resources on there that are specifically related election, but also things that are going on from now to the inauguration and even afterwards. And they include resources that cover white supremacy and white supremacist violence, reports on policing, protests, uprisings, and demonstrations, how to detect and combat misinformation and disinformation, produce coverage that upholds integrity, specifically election integrity, and protect journalists' physical safety and secure digital communications. So we have resources in there from First Draft, from Election SOS. And one way that you can get involved in that is if you see something that's not in there, go ahead and send it to me. If you see resources that should be added, resources that you've created, feel free to send those to me in email, which I'll be posting at the end of this slide, but also sharing it with your folks, sharing it with your journalist friends, especially with the one around physical safety. And I'll drop a link to that as well. You guys will be getting a lot of links, as you can see. And then the last one is not a project of Free Press. It's actually from the Craig Newmark School of Journalism, and their Center for Community Media just created this map called Mapping Black Media, where they're offering a map and directory of 300 media outlets across the US that primarily serve Black communities across the diaspora. And so if you see, we've got 2 there in Colorado. Denver Urban Spectrum is one of them on there. But if you guys know of more that should be added to the map, I can get you the contact information for the folks so that you can add them. And then also share this with your friends and support the Black media that's showed on here on this map. And that's my email address. And this is how you can go to freepress.net and specifically News Voices page to hear a little bit more about us. But I'll leave this open for if anyone has any questions or concerns, and then I'll go ahead and drop in the links in the chat. But thank you again, Amy and Open Media Foundation.
For those that do have questions, I do ask that you fill in the Q&A form, and then I will direct all of those questions to Diamond, and she will get back to you on a later date. Thank you so much, Diamond. All righty. Our next presenter is, computer so slow, Tim Reagan Porter. He is the Executive Director for Colorado Press Association. All righty, Tim, take it away.
Thank you, Amy. So as Amy said, I'm Tim Reagan Porter, and I'm the Executive Director of the Colorado Press Association, which is a membership organization for news organizations as well as freelancers and allied members, including colleges. And our mission is to strengthen journalism in communities by strengthening our members and helping them do the best journalism they can by providing training and resources, helping them grow revenue and become or remain sustainable, and also advocate for journalism and our members generally, but also specifically with the state legislature. We are a 501c6, which means we are one of the few organizations in the ecosystem that is allowed to actually lobby for specific legislation. So we do that on behalf of our members. One of our big initiatives this year has been working with CMP to help get CoLab off the ground. So we were one of the big funders and worked very closely with Laura as well as Melissa Davis at CMP. And so we're very excited about everything that's going on there. And as CoLab is providing more and more resources around journalism capacity, journalism training and development, we'll be focusing more and more on the business of journalism, whether that's nonprofit or for-profit, but helping our members really engage their community, make sure they're meeting the needs of our audiences and growing their audiences and reaching parts of the community maybe that they're not reaching, and finding ways to make that and keep that sustainable. And so we've got a number of initiatives we'll be rolling out over the next year and beyond to help do that. For those of you who are interested in the Press Association, of course, if you're a news organization, we would welcome you to join as a regular member. But we also have very low-cost membership for freelancers and for other businesses, and provide a number of resources that range from press credentials to training, a number of other things. And so we would welcome you to take a look, and you're welcome to reach out to me or to check our website out. We do have a number of standing committees that we welcome, journalists in particular to participate in around training, education, legislation, things such as that. And then there are internship programs. We not only may have interns at our office, we are hoping to really work with our college members to place interns at journalism organizations throughout the state. And so we've got a specific program we'll be rolling out next year. So for those of you who are in newsrooms and are interested in interns, feel free to reach out to us as well. So that's us in a nutshell. So thank you, Amy, for inviting us to this.
Awesome. Thank you, Tim. And just as a reminder after this, for all of those that registered and signed up, and we'll also have this on our socials as well. We'll share the video and all of these corresponding links as well. So, all righty. Moving on. Our next presenter is Laura Frank with Colorado News Collaborative. She is the executive director. All righty.
Thank you. Sorry, I had to look away for a minute. My teenage son is at the doctor by himself for the first time. So I am answering a text every 2 minutes. Who's my primary doctor? What's my insurance number? What's my social security number? So I apologize, but his last text said, last question. I am Laura Frank. I'm the executive director of CoLab, which you've heard a bit about already. So let me try to pull all those pieces together. CoLab is the Colorado News Collaborative, and it is just a few months old. Our intent is to help bring better news to all Coloradans, and we are a collective of more than 100 news organizations across the state, plus allies and supporters like some of you who want to strengthen civic news. And what is civic news? That's the kind of news that holds power to account and helps Coloradans participate in healthy communities and a responsive democracy, all of those things that this year especially reminded us that we really need a strong news ecosystem to have. And so CoLab's work is three-pronged. We do collaborative journalism, trying to raise all boats. We work together, those 100+ news organizations, which include some that you've already heard from here today, like the AP, like KGNU. We work together on stories that none of the newsrooms could do by themselves. So for example, we sent 100 people out, 100 reporters, 100 journalists out to cover the impact of COVID early in the pandemic. No newsroom would have the capacity to do that by itself. The second pillar of what we do is really working with communities and their news organizations to strengthen their relationships, because we know that that is important to have the responsive kind of quality news that all Coloradans deserve. And then the third pillar is innovation. And we mean that mostly in the financial sense, in sharing best practices and developing new business models and figuring out better ways to serve new audiences and diversify revenue streams. Because unless those news organizations that are existing and emerging, unless they have a good solid foundation to stand on, then none of the other things can work. So those are the three things that we do. And the news organizations we work with include the largest newsrooms in the state, like the Associated Press, Colorado Public Radio, Channel 9 News, the Denver Post. And and some of the most diverse newsrooms in the state. Denver Urban Spectrum that Diamond mentioned a moment ago, which serves the Black community in Denver. Entrevision, and both TV and radio serving the Latinx community. KSUT, which serves the Native American community in the Four Corners area. They are all partners in CoLab. We have a number of rural newsrooms like the Ark Valley Voice or the Ouray County Plain Dealer. We have online only newsrooms like Chalkbeat or Colorado Sun or Aspen Journalism. And Phillip mentioned just a little while ago some of the non-traditional civic news sources. They may not be traditional newsrooms in the sense that we think about, but they are sources of news and information for their communities, like the Immigrant and Refugee Center of Northern Colorado or the Rocky Mountain Welcome Center. So we're really trying to think about where do people get their news and information and how can we strengthen those places. And then we also have, as part of CoLab, organizations that support newsrooms. So Open Media Foundation is one of them. The Colorado Press Association is another of them. The Colorado Freedom of Information Coalition, for example. So you can see it's a pretty wide swath of organizations that come together to create CoLab. The third floor of the Buell Public Media Center, which we're all talking about today. Well, I guess Dave is on the first floor. He'll talk about that next. But the CoLab partners are on the third floor. And those are physically a handful of partners who are coming together to share space and work together. But as you can tell, CoLab goes far beyond the walls of the new building, but we do have some space for people to come in, and if they're from one of the other corners of the state, they can and have to do business in Denver, they can come into the Buell Center and have some space to work in. But it's pretty exciting. We really think of ourselves as building a movement for better news for all Coloradans. So for those of you on the call who might want to know how to get involved, you can go to our website. I'm putting it in the chat right now. I am not as good at multitasking as Amy is, but there it is. And there's a spot on there on our website that says get involved. It's up at the top, very easy to find, and it will invite you to join the movement. And there's a segment for journalists, because we're serving journalists quite a bit. And then there's a segment that says, not a journalist, but love great journalism. Here are the ways you can get involved. And those include signing up for our newsletter, following us on social media. We don't have a lot of events going on right now, as you might imagine, for obvious reasons, but we will be posting those, whether they be virtual or hopefully someday soon in person. You can participate in those events. But the thing that you can do right now is share a story idea or ask us questions, share information with us. We're particularly interested in if you are in a place that is for some reason a news desert, that you're not getting the news and information you need. We want to hear about it. We have a team of people on staff who are trying to help news organizations do stories that they might struggle to do alone. We have teams of people that we bring in to help news organizations who might have a financial challenge or trying to figure out how to do a new product, how to reach a part of their community that they maybe haven't always done a good job in reaching. You heard a lot about that from Diamond, who we're thrilled to be working with. So those are some of the ways that you can get involved in CoLab. So I will stop there and turn it back over to Amy.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Laura. I love that feature of being able to submit story ideas. I didn't know you guys had that. That's awesome.
Yes, please do.
All righty. Our next, last but certainly not least, is David Achilles. He is the Community Media Access Coordinator for Denver Community Media. David got a start in the TV business in California, crewing for large events and productions. He relocated to Colorado to work as a director/editor for Denver's Channel 8. He was the director of technology for Renaissance Media, developing ways to make live streaming interactive, and did his newsroom tour of duty for 6 years at CBS 4 as a director and technical director. He continues to work as an independent producer and director in Denver, serving various broadcasts and corporate clients. He's passionate about helping the next generation tell their story through new media. Here is David Achilles.
Hi, everybody. Nice to meet you all. Welcome to the first floor. I can't get to the third floor. That stocked refrigerator sounds tempting, but I can't get there from down here. So we're down on the what we could call the northeast side of the Rocky Mountain Public Media side of the building downstairs. And we, as Denver Community Media, continue to carry a banner of public access production. We're Denver's current public access facility. And much like all of us have mentioned, we want to evolve. And in a way, there's kind of a renaissance happening in media and likewise with the traditional public access. And we don't want to necessarily stay traditional in public access. We want to reinvent and be a part of that renaissance, primarily so that we stay relevant and also sustainable. And those are a lot of things we've been hearing everyone talk about. And what does public access mean to be sustainable? That we continue to carry the banner of access for everyone. And access meaning access to the megaphone, the microphone, the tools, the training for people to tell their story, to get it done, and a collaborative community space. Sadly, as you all know, we carry the burden of COVID at the moment, and we lament our empty facility. But we have high hopes that going into the new year, that the collaborative part of this space will become very active and vibrant. And but that's part of what it means for us as public access media to become community media and to stay relevant and to reinvent. And what that also means, where we offer tools, video equipment that you can check out, cameras and video editing, and also the training to do those things, to tell your story, coaching and encouragement to craft your ideas and your messages into the program that you want to share. And I think not necessarily from a news standpoint, but serving a nonprofit clientele as well as serving individuals in the community. So we offer that tools, the training, and then the media channels to be able to deliver that message. And part of our renaissance is moving beyond the traditional cable channels that have been in Denver for a long time, delivering public access content. We're continuing to staff those and program those, and those are available to us and to the community. They are the community's channels on Comcast, but knowing that those are limited by the city limits of Denver, we want to move past in our sustainable model to make our programming accessible beyond Denver. So as we're opening the new media center here, and parenthetically, right now we've got a systems integrator building our new facilities, which I'll talk about that in just a moment. But part of that sustainability and development and renaissance is moving beyond just the confines of cable channel and moving into live stream delivery and video on demand, smart TV apps on the Roku and Apple TV, not Apple TV specifically, but a smart TV app, the Roku, live streaming, video on demand, and those types of things that make the content reachable beyond traditional cable in Denver. So we are the public access facility in that sense. As part of our offerings, we offer memberships for individuals in the community. They can come in, have access to the equipment for, again, editing tools and training. We also offer memberships for nonprofits and community organizations. As part of our desire to provide digital equity and bridge the divide, what we call bridging the divide, and making our facility accessible. We do offer nonprofit memberships, but we've not limited it to a traditional 501c3 box for a nonprofit. We recognize that there are community, grassroots or organic community groups doing work in the community that need access to the tools and the training here. So we've not cut it off that you must be 501c3. We have a definition in our policy statement that you can be an organic community-based organization, but maybe you've not had the time, resources, ability to become formally recognized in a 501c3 sense. We want to make sure that they're not shut out as well. So that's a little bit about who we serve, and a little bit more about the facility. We have a systems integrator building a new facility right now. We are open in a very limited sense because of COVID, but the new facility is going to have 2 new studios here on the first floor. One is a kind of a standard size studio with traditional cameras, person operated cameras with prompters, but also PTZ style remote cameras. And some of the tools we'll have in there, traditional tools that make the studio robust, teleprompting, IFB, character generation, and the ability to do now in this world, Zoom calls and Skype calls. Each of our studios is set up to go either live to the channel or to live stream, and pushing live stream to multiple platforms. If, say, a member or a nonprofit comes in and wants to push to Vimeo, we can push that simultaneously while going to our channels as well. So we have a traditional studio with a mix of technology there. Then we have a podcast studio with video cameras, and I think we all grasp that. You could do a radio audio style podcast if you want, but with video cameras, you could do a Joe Rogan style, or say a Mike and Mike from ESPN, that style of a video-based podcast. And we're pretty excited about that as a new tool in our offering. Some of the other things we would offer as far as opportunities go, I think we're looking to, after January 1, when our systems integrator has completed and we can offer a complete facility. So looking into the beginning of 2021, we would offer traditional style internships. If someone in a school environment wants school credit, we can structure that and work in that traditional model. If there's a non-traditional style internship, somebody wants to come and for an agreed upon amount of time, we can work in that sort of an internship mode. But one of the things that we're kind of flipping the language a bit is we're focusing more on apprenticeships. And so, yes, you can get school credit if that's what you need or want that structure, but we want to offer an apprenticeship. And those people that want to come in and be apprenticed in a specific discipline, whether it's director of photography, video directing, newscast directing, producing, story development, those kinds of things. And we want to structure an apprentice role so that that person can invest in those things that they desire the most and not necessarily go off into other disciplines. So internships, apprenticeships we would offer. Let's see if I've got anything. Well, of course, volunteers, but I think, again, that's really hitting towards after we get our facility in momentum. It's just, I don't know how, I do know how the rest of you feel. It feels like we're trudging through wet cement, with the COVID 800-pound gorilla getting things done. So I'm excited for when our facility opens to be completely open. And then, of course, the COVID protocols are in place. So just looking to the future when we're fully open and fully functioning, of course, volunteering is a big part of what we want to do. I think if those of you that are familiar with community theater, where a lot of like-minded people come together and produce a theatrical presentation, and you'll have some stage people, some set people, some creatives, a director, et cetera, and they do a community theater production. I'd like to get us to the point where we're doing community media and people come together in that collaborative sense and produce a production together. So those are long-range goals of integrating people into the community, building collaborative relationships, and also relationships with professionals in the community so that we can, again, pass the baton. People come in for apprenticeships. We want to help them get connected with professionals that are already working in the community. So if I had someone come in and they're apprenticing on being a DP, you know, I want to help make that handshake to other DPs in the area and say, why don't you take this person under your wing, let them come on set, let them see what's happening, and just begin to get integrated and make those connections. So I'd invite you to our website, denvercommunitymedia.org. We have membership options there, again, for individuals, for nonprofits, community-based groups, and you can read more about us there. And of course, I'm excited to give in-person tours coming up after the first of the year. Feel free to reach out and be happy to give you a tour of the facility and show you what we got going on down here.
Awesome. Thank you so much, David. That was great.
Thank you.
So this wraps up our virtual tour. I know a couple of you guys jumped on a little bit later and missed the latter half, but just know that this will live on our YouTube as well as posted on our website. And I will also be sending an email out to all of our OMCE database. And to those who registered, a link as well. I want to thank all of those who took the time to join us for this presentation. I think we've created a wonderful resource, at least for the beginning of the year, to share, not only for those that are seeking ways in the community to get connected, but also media partners, whether you're a school or not, tapping into these different resources for internships, especially for their students. But anyways, thank you all again. Have a wonderful Wednesday. And for those that have questions, email me or fill out that form. All righty.
Thank you, Amy.
Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. This was wonderful.
Thank you, Amy.
No problem. Thank you guys for joining.
Thank you, Amy. It's nice to see your face.
You too.